So I think obviously rehabilitation is important, and we are failing. The current figures are that 60% of people who are serving a short sentence, by that I think it means up to 6 months, have an average of 11 previous convictions. So clearly we're not getting it right. There's no doubt that we are failing to rehabilitate. But for me that's not, it's a key thing, but it's not the priority. I think we also have to deal with the fact that our criminal justice system should be making our streets safer, should be making us feel safer. And I think we need to see that justice, the state morality, or social morality, is on our side. And I think too often that's not the case. And one example, and forgive me if I sound like the Daily Mail, but I happen to think this is right. You had a few weeks ago a mother who killed her son, who was 24-hour care he required. He was in an appalling condition, appalling state, and was in great pain, according to all the reports. She killed him. There's no question that she did that out of love. Whether you like it or not, she did it out of love. Her motivation was clear. She's not a threat to society. She did it because she felt that that was a loving thing to do to her son. She got a minimum of 9 years in prison. Shortly after, a guy with a series of previous convictions kidnapped and brutally sexually assaulted an 82-year-old lady. Brutally. 2 months later, she died. Many people have said, I don't know, obviously, that the death was linked, that she'd been so shaken up by this. This guy got a 4-year minimum sentence. Now, for me, a society that says that that man committed a crime which was many times less bad than the crime of the woman who killed her own son out of love is wrong. I don't think we can call ourselves a civilized society if we make that kind of misjudgment. And the more of these examples, and they're not the only examples, there are lots of examples, the more of these that we see, in my view, the more likely it is that we'll see increased vigilantism. Because I think if I was a relative of that 82-year-old woman, I would want to pick up a cricket bat. I certainly wouldn't accept that this guy took 4 years in jail. And I think where the state is seen to not be on our side, not be in sync with our collective judgment, that's when people say, to hell with the state, we're going to take action on our own, we will become vigilantes. And I think it may not be right, but it's understandable.
I'm really glad of the courage of many of our judges to take decisions that I suspect then, lead to opprobrium in some of that's more rampant national media. And I think that Elizabeth did that, and that it was absolutely crucial in the case that she described. It's a very long question. Can I just pick a bit of it? Because one of the things that really, I think one of the issues I think we just do not focus on is rehabilitation. We've got a rehabilitation prison that's in this constituency, and people coming through, it doesn't take violent prisoners, but everything else, long-serving prisoners, and those who come through the rehabilitation prison, that's 75% of them do not reoffend. Whereas if you look at the standard, it's typically only 25% who come out of prison that don't reoffend. Our prisons are absolutely appalling, achieving that kind of change in life, that's change in direction, preparing people for a life outside. And yet the rehabilitation prison, 271 prisoners, the most underfunded, completely Cinderella of the whole prison service. And I think we absolutely have to turn things around. And I know it offends some people who want retribution to be at the heart of it, but we all do so much better if people leave prison and don't commit crimes again, rather than leave prison that's hardened, that's more enraged, more violent than the day that they walked in, and that happens on far too many occasions. And if you give me time later, I'll talk about community sentencing, which I think we should use far, far more, because prison, particularly short prison sentences, tend to truly turn people into something far more dangerous.
Let's move on to the audience.